here on the right here.
What's going on, everybody? It's Dustin. Checking back in, we have our Pga Championship Breakdown with teaser. We have our special guest, House Money, here ready to break it all down. So if you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments section. Throw them in there. If you're watching on Twitch, throw them in there. If you're on Twitter, I'll be scrolling sporadically and seeing your guys' comments throughout there. So let us know. We'll go over outrights, top 20s, top 40s, and some matchups, and then we can kind of sprinkle in some DFS as well. If you guys have any questions over that. So, fellas, how we feeling? Teaser, how we feeling tonight?
Feeling good, man. I can't wait for this major. It was a rough week for me last week, but we're ready to bounce back. You know, got some good plays for y'all coming up. So I'm hyped to have my guy House on here. It was long overdue.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I'm stoked too, man. I feel like a kid on Christmas these couple weeks. Like they can't come soon enough, and when they get here, they just kind of fly by because I'm up until 1 o'clock researching, and I'm back up at like 6 a.m. the next day. So here we are. It's Wednesday night, and we are T-minus 12 hours from the first tee time, boys. So let's get after it here.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about golf, because there's so much data and so many numbers that you can look at, and you can pretty much mind fuck yourself, really.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and there's just times where I'm like, okay, I got this guy in my player. I'm going to bet this guy. What about this guy? Then you come back 20 minutes later, and, oh, I don't even like that guy anymore. What the hell?
Yeah.
So your mind just goes through the roof every single second. But
you know what I like to call that, man? We call that a little analysis paralysis. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yes, sir.
I like that. So yeah, we can we'll jump right in. As always, guys, if you guys have comments, throw them in the chat. We'll put them up on the screen, and we'll see what everybody's going to say. Yeah, if you guys want to hop in and explain Southern Hills, the beast of a course that this will be. The PGA Championship is always pretty tough. Weather conditions are iffy. We know it's going to be windy. But we will see if there's a AM or PM advantage here. So break it down for us, Caesar.
Yeah, so I'll go over some stuff, and then if House wants to chime in, he can say
No
whatever.
doubt.
But yeah, we'll start par 70. It should be playing over 7,500 yards, but I mean they don't know yet. It could be from 7,300 to 7,500, so we'll see. I kind of, with my research, it kind of favors shot shaping. So there's a lot of dog leg lefts, dog leg rights, such as like Augusta. Obviously, there's a little advantage to the Bombers this week. There's wide fairways, and there's going to be a lot of the around the green game this week. I also put 2 par 5s are long over 600 yards, so there's going to be a lot of third shot approaches here. So there's not going to be many easy birdies here. The par 3s are going to be 3 out of 4 are going to be beast over 225 yards. So I put an emphasis on that this week because I think you can kind of win or lose the tournament on the par 3 this week. And then for comp courses, like I said, Augusta, Kiowa Island, I also put the concession and Bay Hill as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at strokes gain approach, around the green scrambling, bogey avoidance, and sprinkling a little major history. So that's kind of what I'm looking at this week.
Most definitely. It never hurts to look at the major history on major weeks. Now, having said that, I do think it's easier to win the PGA Championship than it is to win any of the other 3 major championships. I mean, obviously, Phil was 200 to 1 last year. You also have guys like Jimmy Walker, who, have no disrespect to him, but, he's not necessarily a Hall of Famer. And one of my personal favorites, Keegan Bradley, also someone who's won the PGA in the last 10 to 15 years. So just to add to what you were saying there, Teaser, as far as some of the comps go, I know you mentioned to me that you like Shinnecock. I don't know if you mentioned it just now, But I think if you're looking for one leaderboard, guys, to give you a kind of preview of what to expect this week, it'd be the 2018 U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. Another course that I think you should look at if you're still doing a little bit of last-minute research is Colonial, because Perry Maxwell had a lot to do, the guy who designed this course, had a lot to do with designing Colonial as well. So the comp courses that I looked at, to be real specific, you mentioned this, Teaser, of course you'd be remiss not to. Augusta is the #1 comp. Maxwell was an Alistair McKenzie disciple, if I'm allowed to say that, and he modeled this course after Augusta, which he did most of his work, but this is kind of the crown jewel of his career. Anyway, the comp courses: Shinnecock, Augusta, Colonial, Memorial Park. That's where they played the last two Houston Opens, difficult scoring conditions in Texas. Winged Foot, also another leaderboard I think you should take a quick look at if you're still doing some last-minute research. That was the 2020 U.S. Open. Concession, and did you say Congaree also, Teaser?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I just forgot to mention it. But yeah,
I think you did, man. Higo won that 11 under.
Yeah.
And you remember everybody was making bogey on the back nine. So that's what we're looking for here, man. We're looking for some difficult courses. And then the three courses that I really always use if we're talking about difficult scoring conditions are Bay Hill, Pga National, and Riviera. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is generally speaking about what I like to look at, 8 to 12. And so specifically, at this point, you don't have a lot of time. So if you're still doing some research, look at the Honda leaderboard from this year, because it was very windy, man. And obviously we are expecting quite a bit of wind here. They leveled off the edges of the green on each hole when Gil Hands came in and did the restoration in 2018. So now, because of the way they leveled off and tightly mowed the grass around the greens, you can land a ball on the green, catch a slope, and have it roll back 30, 40, 50 yards off the green, fellas. So, man, yeah, like I said earlier, man, it's like diabolical. They're really trying to make you break a couple golf clubs with that. So my point is, the fact that it's not only so difficult to hit the greens, but it's very difficult to get the ball to stay on the green, leads me to believe short game is going to be the most vital phase here. Last thing about the course and the research that I did, it's only the second or third time since I've been handicapping golf tournaments that I used all three major tee to green stroke gain phases. So strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach, and strokes gained around the green, because you just absolutely have to be a complete player here. And if you only do one thing well, it's still got to be approach. I know I said about the short game narrative, and I'm really focusing on those guys. But if you come in losing strokes on approach, I'm just not interested in. And we're not necessarily talking about long-term approach numbers here. I want to see guys who are in good approach form, right? So we can transition from that right into the first pick. There's really no one who's in better approach form right now than Hideki Matsuyama, right? Who's better than Hideki with his irons? It's something ridiculous as far as, I think only 1 or 2 tournaments this year he's lost strokes on approach. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for why Hideki is a great play this week. We all know he just won at Augusta, right? But in addition to the win at Augusta, we're talking about Shinnecock Hills and how we want to see some success on that course. Well, Hideki was T16 at that 2018 U.S. Open. In addition to his win at Augusta, he's finished, these are the last 6 years. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really looking at anything beyond 6 years ago. I just think guys are different golfers.
5 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm probably being a little generous with 6 years.
Yeah.
Definitely not beyond that. So last 6 years for Hideki at Augusta, guys. T14, outright win. T13, T32, solo 19th. and T11. So pretty damn good, right?
Well, so the main question here, how are you feeling about his neck issue that has came up on Twitter? The Hideki tracker has pinpointed that being a neck injury for him. Any concern there?
Man, not really. I was talking to you guys a little bit before we went live. I do think Hideki, because of the ridiculous expectations placed on him by his country and how maniacal Japan is about following him, I do think with the Japanese media, he tries to under-promise and over-deliver. He doesn't want to set expectations too high. So I don't remember the exact quote, but I think he said prior to the Zozo, on a scale of 1 to 10, his health was like a 2 or a 3 out of 10. And then he went out and proceeded to win the damn golf tournament. So in my opinion, and it sucks, we kind of got to read between the lines here, I think that he's trying to, temper expectations so that if he isn't good, guys from Japan, the media there can say, oh, well, his neck hurts. And if he is good, they'll say, oh, wow, man, he's playing well, even banged up a little bit. So I'm not reading too much into that. Is it a bit of a concern? Yeah, it is. It certainly wasn't what I wanted to read, but I'm not going to take those comments that he made to the Japanese media and assume that he's absolutely injured, right? Because if he was, he wouldn't be here.
Yeah, he also just got a top 10 3 days ago, so I think he's all right.
Yeah, he was just throwing darts.
To back up house money, to make the cut odds on DraftKings right now for Hideki, they're minus 450. So no one's really thinking it's going to be a withdrawal type of deal here. So I would say it's safe to say Matsuyama. It is just insane to me, but he's a guy that I've taken out of my player pool and put it back in, out, just because all these damn news. So I'm still to be determined on him right now.
Well, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you, but if you'll allow me to maybe try to convince you here, he's 12th this season in bogey avoidance. We talked about how difficult the scoring conditions are. I think bogey avoidance might be the single most important stat this week. He's also 22nd in scrambling, 54th in strokes gained around the green. We know how tremendous he is with the irons. He's 6th on tour this season in strokes gained approach. So, I mean, he checks really all the boxes, man. I think we're going to get a ton of approach shots in the 125 to 150 range because both of the par 5s are 3-shot holes. So we're probably going to have some little 130, 120 yard approach shots there. And then, man, okay, it's a pretty long course, but 8 par 4s measure 455 yards or less. So, damn, if you're hitting it 310, that's going to be a 145 yard approach shot, right? On a 455 yard hole. Anyway, Hideki is 8th on tour this year and approaches from 125 to 150 yards. So, man, his stats profile this week is really tremendous.
Yeah, and Cummings Jaw 2 says Trackergate is going to have house tilted. So, I've seen the tweets as well. I had to put that out there on the live stream to get house going. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, Cummings Jaw 2. So that's number one out right here for house money there. Teaser, you want to go into your outrights?
Yeah, I'll start with my number one here. Maybe it's like a little, square play, but I'm going to start with Scheffler. I got him 14 to 1. I mean, obviously we all know he's in great form this year. You can't really say anything else. He's 4 wins this year. So the model I created, he's second. Obviously he's going to be up there in the model. After the last 36 rounds, he's been the best player in the world. He's actually 4th strokes gain around the greens. Maybe a lot of people don't think he's that great around the greens, but he is. He's 22nd in bogey avoidance, so almost top 20 there. He's also top 25 in par 3s, 225 plus, which is going to be huge this week, as I kind of mentioned before. I think you can definitely gain a lot on the field there this week with the, that par 3, 250 yards. So, I'm going to start with him. He also came out this week and says he loved the course. I love when players say that. He says he feels comfortable here, so that's kind of all I needed to hear from him. He says it kind of fits his eye, so that's a go for me. I guess I'll go into my second outright.
Yeah,
I went with
reel them off.
Yeah, I went Patrick Cantley. What did I get him at? I got him at, I believe, 25-1. Yeah, I got 25-1. Obviously, he was one of the hottest players in the world end of last year. He's 9th in my model, or he's 5th here. Maybe I switched it a little, but yeah, he's still top 10 anyways. Yeah. Like House was saying, you kind of need all three facets at this course. He's a very solid player throughout the bag. He kind of doesn't slip up in one category. He's great off the tee. His approach game's pretty solid and around the greens. And if his putter gets hot, I mean, it's over for the field. So yeah, he's top 20 strokes gained off the tee and around the green. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then my third one, I'll just kind of quickly go through these. Dustin Johnson, that's, I've been saying it all year. It's a value play for me at this point. I got him 40-1. The one, everyone knows his driving distance. He's top 10 in that. I do think his length off the tee will play well here. If he makes putts, obviously he will be in contention. But what kind of scares me is his around the green game. It's kind of been not up to par this year, so that's what scares me a little. But I can't deny the 40-1 in a guy who can potentially be in contention. He also has major prowess as well throughout the years, his 15 plus years on tour. And then I know me and House are on this guy, Tommy Fleetwood. I got 110-1.
Hell yeah.
I'll let him talk about it more because he's hyped about him this week. But yeah, I'll just start. We both were agreeing. He got the runner-up at Shinnecock in 2018, which he mentioned was a pretty big comp course to hear. He obviously thrives on difficult tracks. He has 3 top 20s at Augusta. And yeah, that's another comp course we're looking at as well. And then also, 35th in bogey avoidance. That's pretty above average for a guy who isn't really stellar with the ball striking at times. So I do like him here in a tough condition environment. So yeah, that's my 4 outrights for the week.
Only thing that scares me with Fleetwood, that's why I haven't included him in my card. I haven't put him in my player pool. Is that it's just. We're all talking about approach, and he's been that's the only thing that's just like I get the value. I like Fleetwood as like his game. It's just that approach, and I know we're gonna have to be accurate at this particular course. That's my only reason why I don't have him there.
That's the weird thing with Fleetwood. Like people think he's such like a stellar iron player. Like the numbers don't really show he is. Like he's not that. He's not like a great ball striker. And if you can see there, you can see it's all red. Like. The par 3 does scare me. He's good in difficult conditions though. Like he's more of a flight. Exactly. He flights his irons down, so that's when he, when in the wind, like a lot of guys have a higher ball flight. He's not him. His stock shot is a lower flighted ball. So
most definitely, and that's going to be huge this week. I mean, for me, man, the most important thing is how guys are performing in difficult scoring conditions, and I think we all consider Matt Fitzpatrick to be an elite grinder, someone you want on the card whenever it's a par is a good score type of course. Right. But Fleetwood's right up there with him, man. So outside of all of the specific strokes gained numbers and actual stats, Tommy Fleetwood on the 10 courses that I mentioned as comp courses in the last 5-6 years, he's started 22 times on those 10 courses. 16 of 22 times, he's finished top 40. So that is what it is. I mean, he's finishing top 40 damn near 75% of the time, man. So I think that the runner-up at Shinnecock is absolutely key, something that really caught my attention right away. And then 3 top 5s in the last 5 years at Augusta. He does not get as much respect as he should when the Masters week rolls around. I had him top 40 and top 20 at the Masters, and that worked out well. So T14, T46, T19, T36, T17 the last 5 years for Tommy Fleetwood at Augusta. And then one of the other courses that has really difficult scoring conditions is obviously Bay Hill.
Yeah.
T20, T10 cut, T3, T26, T10 the last 6 years at Bay Hill for Tommy Fleetwood. So the guy just shows up in difficult scoring conditions. Pga National, yes, there's water all over Pga National. I know that it's a little bit of a different course for sure compared to Southern Hills, but still very difficult scoring conditions. Anyway, solo third in 2020, solo fourth in 2018 for Fleetwood. So, man, 16 out of 22 top 40 finishes, and we're not talking about a lot of T28s and T39s. We're talking about a lot of top 10 finishes here, guys.
No, I agree with that a lot. So, Fleetwood definitely has struck my eye. I just have not pulled the trigger yet, but I love the data, love the research put in by both of you guys, and why you guys are definitely backing Fleetwood. Tremendous value. Teaser had what plus one or 110 to one, and then the 90 to one. So that's incredible value. I hope the hell he pulls it off for you guys.
I did not get the good number on Tommy, and then I know Teaser's talking about some of the numbers within the field in probably last 36, but for the whole season on tour, all the players eligible for season-long stats, he's 15th in strokes gained around the green. He's also top 50 in bogey avoidance and scrambling. So as you can see, man, he really fits the profile. 14th in sand saves, 24th in proximity from inside 100. So we're talking about how your ball could land on the green, catch the wrong slope, and run off 40, 50 yards. Man, if you can stick a couple of those awkward little wedge shots within 18 inches when your opponents are sticking them, 17, 18 feet, you're going to have a pretty good advantage. A couple strokes here and there makes the difference when we're talking about a top 40.
Yeah. The one guy we haven't talked about on House Money's outrights just yet is Corey Connors. He struck my eye as well.
Yeah.
On a course where it's about approach, you don't worry about, you can just hope to God their putts go in. He's the perfect candidate. Him and Zalatoris. So I went Zalatoris route, and House Money went Corey Connors route. So you can't go wrong either way. I think both of those two could take this tournament down in a heartbeat. If their putts start going in, their approach is one of the top in the game. So watch out for either one of those this weekend.
Connors, man, we all think Connors is a terrible putter, right? And he pretty much is, but it looks like he's kind of figured something out here, guys. So these numbers are strokes gained putting per round in Connors' recent starts. He's plus 0.57 strokes per round at the Wells Fargo, plus 0.49 strokes per round at RBC, plus 0.3 strokes per round at the Masters, also plus 0.3 strokes per round at the Players. He's gained strokes putting in 4 of his last 5 starts. And one other thing about Connors' recent strokes gained data, I think, man, if you're only, have time to look at a few things, one of the other things you should take a glance at is how guys performed around the green at Augusta, because it also has those leveled off edges, the tightly mowed grass around the green where you catch a slope on the green and it rolls back down the hill. So you can kind of simulate to some extent how guys might play around the green here at Southern Hills by looking at how they performed around the green at Augusta. And this most recent Masters, believe it or not, Connors gained 1.22 strokes per round around the greens. Man, he also gained 0.98 strokes per round around the greens at the Arnold Palmer, another difficult course. So, yeah, Corey Connors absolutely is on the card this week, man.
Yeah, I definitely can get on board with that. He is part of the DFS player pool. I agree with the upside of Corey Connors, so I love that. And I'll briefly touch over my outrights. As you guys can see at the bottom of the screen, we got Rory, we got JT, Zalatoris, and Tyrell Hatton. Hatton was just a guy that is just around every damn tournament. It just no one talks about him. He's not a sexy pick. It's just a guy that's there.
I'm so done with that guy, dude. I'm really done with him. I'm so done with him.
You know what? I'm a big Hatton fan. I like his whole demeanor on the course. I think he's probably the most entertaining guy. And he's absolutely one of the best difficult scoring conditions guys. If you're playing on a course where par is a good score, Hatton is someone you should be taking a look at. I just think his incoming approach form, I believe, is no good. That's the only reason that I crossed him off.
Yeah.
No,
I was going to say the same thing.
52nd at the Masters, 26th at the Heritage, Wells Fargo. He's 37. He hasn't played since then. I was looking at Fantasy Labs buzz report that they always do, and it's out of a 1 to 10 range. He's at a 0.4. Like literally, no one's talking about this guy. And those are the guys that just like I have no idea why. I just out of a contrary aspect to betting, especially on the DFS side. It's just like I got to play him. I'm going to put an outright on him. He's going to be in my player pool, and I'm going to have a fair share. And like you guys have said, he plays better in tougher conditions.
I watched a lot of them. Yeah, I watched a lot of them at Wells Fargo. I followed him a little bit. It's just I can't get there on him right now. I had him at the Wells Fargo already. He's from the middle of the fairway. He's like blocking iron shots, like from like 120 out and easy. I'm like, it's just like that. Like Hal said, the approach game is really scaring me with him right now because his miss is a block for some reason with those. Mm-hmm. And I don't hate the guy. Like I mean, it's funny his demeanor and stuff. I do think that gets in his head a little bit. It does. I do think that affects him. If he blocks one, it's like if he sees that, I think he's not going to fix it throughout the round. So I don't know. I can't get there. I do like the tough conditions cliche thing with the Englishman, but I don't know. I just can't, like Hal said, I can't get on a guy who has negative approach gain the past couple of weeks. So
right, that's just one of the main things I'm looking at. Like the top handful of indicators I was looking at this week are number 1, incoming approach form, number 2, Augusta history, and then the leaderboards at those 2 recent U.S. Opens that are very good comps in my opinion. And number 3 is obviously the short game, right? So Hatton does check, at least one of those boxes with the short game, but the approach game is just the number 1 thing for me this week. And again, not long-term approach numbers, but more short-term approach numbers. So just caught my eye about Fitzpatrick on the bottom. That's one of my other favorite plays this week. And Fitz, we know, like Hatton, excels in difficult scoring conditions. Unlike Hatton, he has gained strokes on approach in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive measured starts. Matter of fact, he has not lost strokes on approach per round in any one start on a measured course this year. I bet a lot of people didn't realize that. And a couple of them he gained significantly, 1.01 per round at Pebble Beach, 1.17 per round at Waste Management. Now let's talk about his recent finishing positions, right? So these are just starting from his most recent start, Fitzpatrick. T2 cut, T14, that was the Masters. T5 at the Valspar, cut at the Players, which I'm not holding against anyone. It was so dependent on your draw.
That was stupid.
T9, T10, T6, T12. That's absolutely ridiculous. This guy's been playing extremely well. And the fact that he hasn't won on the PGA Tour yet gives us a much better number. But man, he just won at Valderrama last year. He won the DP World Tour Championship, which is basically, like East Lake is for the tour, just 2 years ago. So the guy can win. He just hasn't done it yet on the PGA Tour, but he will. Same with Fleetwood.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah. Well said there. And we haven't discussed it yet. I don't know how much of an advantage the win will be per tee times. We've seen a lot of AM or PM guys, Thursday early, Friday late, to have such a slight advantage. Have you guys seen anything more recent with the weather projections that kind of sway it to more of an advantage or less of an advantage?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, man. Yeah. So I think it depends on what market you're talking about. I think if you're talking about 1 round bets, first round leader bets, round matchup bets in the first round, weather is a massive, massive factor that you absolutely need to take into consideration. But for the 4-day tournament long bets, I'm not absolutely convinced that it's crucial. Certainly want to continue to monitor that, man, as far as any kind of live betting goes.
Yeah.
But dude, they're talking about wind gusts, fellas, like 40, 45 miles an hour, approaching 50 miles an hour on Friday morning. If they have gale force tornado style winds, 45, 50 miles an hour, they're not fucking playing. We're not going to see the second round until Saturday. Right. Like at the Players, man, guys made all these assumptions and all these bets based on the weather. They delayed it, and that just totally threw all their research out the window.
Yeah.
And we're not going to take that risk. We're just not. With the 1-day bets, I definitely think that you have to incorporate. Like, really, if you're playing anybody who tees off in the afternoon first round leader, it better be like Varner or Henley or Keegan or one of those first round leader horses. And dude, I don't know. I'm not trying to shit on the way anybody handicaps, but I think if your number one primary consideration when you're handicapping a golf tournament is the weather, you probably spent a lot of time looking at the wrong shit, dog.
I agree with that.
I agree. Yeah, I kind of I haven't really looked at it until this year, like last couple things, like people kind of mention it to me. I'm not too big into it. Obviously the Players was just kind of a shit show with it, but it really doesn't, like, these guys are pros, man. Like, I know sometimes the wind, it'll get up, like sometimes like AM guys like, oh, only five miles per hour wind, and then it's like 15 in the afternoon. It's not that big of a difference to them. It really isn't. Like, I know I'll say like maybe if like rain or something like that, but like the wind differences, like, to me it's not that big of a deal for them. So yeah, that's what I think about it.
I think they blow it up so people make those decisions, and then they themselves don't make those decisions and have a little bit of an advantage on the field. I've seen that happen plenty of times.
That's the best point you can make here, Dot. So I can't remember, but you mentioned, you were talking about how Decky was minus 450 to make the cut. Same type of deal here. So you notice that if you look at the first round leader odds board, they were impacted heavily by tee times, but they did not dramatically impact outright prices or placement market pricing because, man, over the course of 4 days, there's so much that can change, and the weather might not play out exactly how they're anticipating. It might not affect the entire tournament the way that it looks like it will, just looking at the weather right now. But if they're talking about, dude, 30, 35 mile an hour winds at 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon, hell yeah, I want to make sure my first round leader picks are off the course by then.
Right. But I just think it's so constant that it's getting blown out of proportion. Just if anybody who's watching this, maybe if you're playing some DFS, if you have someone on your player pool cut line, maybe that's your final reason for whatnot. But I would say let's keep it consistent. It's just going to be windy. Everyone's going to have to be windy. So we can quickly move into our top 20s and our top 40s. I know we got a little time constraint. We'll be in and out about 10 minutes or so. So if you guys do have any final questions, if you guys have any outrights, if you guys agreed upon what we've been discussing, we'd love to hear back from you guys. So if you guys are watching on YouTube or Twitch, throw them in the comments section. So we'll go right into our top 20. Teaser, you want to briefly go over who you got?
Yeah, so all of our cards will be out tonight so you guys can see this. I won't go into too much detail on these. I'll kind of just spit them out. But so I'm going to start with, I actually just added this guy, like, when we were on the stream. Or I had him before, but, I decided now. Colin Moore, Huh?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Colin Moore at plus 110. I'll just briefly go over him since we haven't really talked about him. I haven't seen anyone really talk about him this week.
Me neither.
If you look at his major history, it's actually absurd, like what he's done in the 2 years he's been, coming on tour. It's absurd. He has 2 majors. Going right off my head, I think 2 top 10s at the Masters, I believe. I know he got one this year. I don't want to really look it up right now, but I obviously his major prowess. No one's really talking about him. I don't think the
can do
length
it
will be
real
too big
quick.
of a factor with him. He's such a great ball striker that if he has a little longer into the greens, I don't really care because he's a big. So it's the thing with him is around the greens. He's gotten a lot better than Hovland, I would say. I think he's, it's all about the putting and chipping with him. I do think he's gotten a little better at chipping. So I'm going to go with him top 20. He shows up. I'm also going to go with Xander as well. I've always been saying it. I do think the only thing missing in his game, he's obviously won a couple times, but it's just the mental. I think something mental with him. He's a gold medalist, it's just still weird to me he won that. But yeah, I always say he has the most complete game on tour throughout the bag. I really do think he does. Him and Cantley, I think I love his length here. He's a solid putter, solid approach game. So I'll take him top 20. I was talking about Cam Smith before the stream a little bit at plus 130. I got him top 20. I'm a little afraid of his he's been losing it left a little the past couple. Like I watched him at RBC, had a horrible week, but I think he's another guy. He shows up for the big events. He's not really coming in too strong, but I'll take him. Matt Fitzpatrick, we kind of already talked about. I got him 2-1, and then I'm still a question mark on Tommy Fleetwood top 20. I got him. I saw a plus 350 on him, so it's very intriguing. I probably just would throw a half a unit on that. But that's still a question mark for me. We kind of touched base on him as well. So that's my top 20s this week. If you want to go, House.
Oh hell yeah, man!
Some of the same, but
I like those teaser.
Yeah, quite a few of the same guys were on Fleetwood. I'm betting both top 40 and top 20. I'm just all about him this week, man. I think that he has played extremely well recently. He's also been a little undervalued in the betting market in America in general. So as soon as he does have a breakout performance in a major event, we're not going to get Tommy Fleetwood 100-1 moving forward. Anyway, you're talking about Morikawa, man. His Augusta history. He was 5th this year at the Masters, and he kind of backdoored that. So I think that really kind of went under the radar. He was T18 last year. And that's not bad. He made the cut in his debut, which is a lot easier said than done. So I get where you're coming from with Colin, even though a lot of people aren't really talking a lot about Morikawa this week. So a lot of the guys that I'm taking top 20, we've already talked about. Connors, I've got top 20. Fitz, I've got top 20. One guy we haven't talked about at all is Zalatoris. And on these courses where the putting is really difficult, everyone's going to miss a lot of putts, so that kind of levels the playing field for both good and bad putters. That's great news for Zalatoris. One of the main things that I want to see, man, is success at Augusta, because it's probably the best preview that we have, other than, like I talked about, the 2 recent U.S. Opens. So what is it here?
He putts well at Augusta too. That's the weird thing, I think. So,
absolutely. It's extremely weird. So T6.
Focused up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Zalatoris T6 and solo runner-up in his debut at Augusta. So that kind of speaks for itself. In addition to the course history there at Augusta, Zalatoris is an awesome course fit. He's literally, we're talking about the ball striking, literally number 1 on tour this year in strokes gained approach. He's also 11th in strokes gained off the tee, 27th in bogey avoidance. So all things I really like to see. He's also 29th in proximity from inside 100 yards. So those little awkward 30, 40, 50-yard pitch shots on the ones that he actually does miss the green, he's going to be in a little bit better shape to actually put the ball close to the hole. Okay, so some other top 20s that I like this week. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Cam Smith, we talked about him. Decky, Xander, we talked about him. Fitz, Connors, I talked about all the top 20 picks now. Fleetwood, obviously, is my number 1 top 40 pick. How about HV3? We've not talked about Varner yet. Man. I like Varner top 40. I also like Chris Kirk top 40, who's definitely hung around in some elite fields when it's difficult scoring conditions. Absolutely a par is a good score type of a guy, man. Chris Kirk. Really no Augusta history to speak of for Kirk. Certainly some boxes that he does not check, but he was 12th in my stats model this week. He's also 12th on tour in strokes gained around the green, 44th in strokes gained approach. So that's a really nice combination. 54th in bogey avoidance on tour this year. So definitely like Kirk. He's also 14th in proximity to the hole from inside 100 yards, 15th from 100 to 125 yards. So I think Kirk, you can get him as much as like 3-1, depending on whether or not you're big on the dead heats. I try to avoid the dead heats if I can. Okay, top 40, we said Varner, Taylor Gooch. You got the Oklahoma State connection, man.
Yep,
We're getting a missed cut.
Are we all three on Gooch? Are we all three on Gooch?
Yep. Yeah, I was on him last week. I got to go back to him. It's like I never want to, but I got plus
I agree.
So.
You absolutely have to, man. And then I think the last three guys, man, the first one I'm going to mention here is my second favorite top 40 play, Seabez Bezuidenhout. Last week, man, he showed up to the biggest birdie fest on tour, 198th on tour in birdie or better percentage, and finished T12. So when you see a guy who his game does not suit the course they're playing, get really good results on a course that does not fit his game, everything's clicking for him. He shows up to a course that does fit his game. It's looking really good. He's salivating, looking at those green complexes, knowing that other guys are going to struggle tremendously. So we talk about how I like to look at how often a guy's finished top 40 on comp courses recently. Bezuidenhout, let's see, his was only second to Tommy Fleetwood. 7 out of 12 times on those 10 courses in the last 5 years, he's finished inside the top 40. So definitely like Seabez. And the last two top 40 plays were Alex Noren, another guy with that.
I was just about to go to him. I absolutely love that guy this week.
Yeah, Alex Noren, man, recently had 3 consecutive starts where he gained 1+ stroke on approach per round. I don't know that when I researched it, I knew this for sure. I don't know that he's ever done that before. He's certainly not a ball striker. He's more of a short game guy. So when you see his approach form looking like that, you know, I've talked about him a couple times in the last month or so. I think that Noren is a great top 40 play this week. And then the last guy is Aaron Wise. Aaron Wise has a really favorable top 40 number. You can get it plus 180, 190 if you're not worried about the dead heats. I think I got plus 155, avoiding the dead heats. He was 13th in my stats model this week. He also has a nice combination of approach around the green and bogey avoidance. 25th on tour in bogey avoidance, Aaron Wise. 30th in strokes gained approach. 59th in strokes gained around the green. And we know, man, he's been swinging it with his irons really for damn near a year at this point. He just can't make putts, bro. So it's the same thing.
Though. Yeah,
right?
It's frustrating.
Right? So we're going to have a whole bunch of guys who can't make putts on the card this week because with these crazy undulations on the green and all the sloping and the uneven lies, it's going to be some really tough sledding for these guys putting. Yeah. Everyone is going to miss putts. So it's awesome to see guys like Connors and Zhao gain on the field putting at a place like Augusta, where they also have very complex greens with the undulations and you have to be on the right green or the right quadrant. The only thing that's a much different than Southern Hills with Augusta is Augusta has much bigger greens. The average square footage of the greens here at Southern Hills is only about 57. I think it's 57, 70. So you're not going to have a lot of lag putting like you do at Augusta. So I don't think it's quite the same as like with strokes gained around the green at Augusta. I wanted to focus on that a lot. But the greens are a little different here than they are at Augusta.
Yeah. Well, as we're wrapping up, I have 2 quick questions for both of you guys. We haven't mentioned these 2 guys at all. And they obviously, one will always be talked about. The other one has not been brought up on this stream yet, but he's incredibly popular this week. So I'll start with that one. What are you doing with Jordan Spieth this week? Anything at all? Staying away?
No, I'm playing him top 10, man. I mean, he just top 10s everything that is this type of golf. So sometimes we have a tendency to overthink. I was talking about analysis paralysis at the top of the broadcast here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, man, like sometimes it's as simple as this guy shows up to these majors and finishes top 10. Spieth T3 at Augusta in 2021, solo third at Augusta in 2018. He gets it done in these, you know, difficult scoring conditions, especially at majors. And I mean, come on, he's in absolutely ridiculous form. He just about won back-to-back starts. And Justine to JT, I'm going to play top 10 with no outright, both Spieth and JT.
Yeah, I was stunned to see Spieth so damn high up there in outrights and outright market and top 10s. I mean, he's above Rahm, right there with Rahm. You just never, I would never put those two together if you started out early in the season. The other guy was, but the other guy, obviously, is Tiger Woods. We have anything on Tiger this week? Anything at all? Teaser?
I'm gonna pass. If you want to play some for fun, just do make the cut or something. Like, this is the thing with me is like I'm obviously gonna make it through the 4 days, but this is it's called Southern Hills. So I mean, like, he's gonna be walking. You know what I mean? Like it's just insane. He's doing this. It's just a cool thing. I'm just gonna stay away. It's like sometimes you just gotta watch for fun. Watch him for fun. You know, like. Don't put your money on Tiger Woods. I don't. Yeah. I'm gonna go. It's not even going out on a limb, but he's not winning this tournament.
All those sportsbook boosts for Tiger top 10, Tiger whatnot.
He's not top 10, not top 20.
Yeah, just don't do it. Like that, they're literally bribing you to take your money. That's what they're trying to do.
Top 40. Yeah, top 40 if you want to get you know.
I could see it.
With it. Yeah,
I could see it. You know, he won here in 2007, but that was before Hans came in and, you know, restored the course. They don't want us to say that he renovated it because he restored it back to its original condition, or at least that was the intent. Anyway, so when he won in 07, man, he didn't hit any drivers. I think he either hit none or one or two drivers off the tee. On Sunday, he was clubbing down and hitting 2-iron, which a Tiger 2-iron is about as, you know, tremendous of a sight as you can see in golf, right? It's just a beautiful thing. So I do think, fellas, if he clubs down off the tee and hits a lot of big irons and stays on the correct side of the fairway, because that's the thing, man. You can hit this fairway, be on the wrong side of the fairway, super wide, 40-yard wide fairways, but it doesn't matter if you're on the wrong half of the fairway and you have the wrong angle to the pin. You can get the ball on the green, the incorrect quadrant, catch a slope, end up running off 50 yards, 40 yards, 30 yards down the hill, and it didn't matter at all that you put the ball in the fairway. So if Tiger clubs down, stays on the right half of the fairway, just takes his medicine and hits everything to 30, 35 feet, if he can just repeat this as many times as possible.
But
300 to the fairway, right? 140 to 30 feet, 30 feet lag putt to 18 inches and par, he's going to T40. I'm not betting him T40, T.
Yeah, no,
I'm not.
I mean,
I'm saying
the
I
thing
think
we're forgetting,
reasonable.
07 was kind of prime Tiger, though. Does he still have that? Does he still have that 2-iron in his bag? I mean, does he still have that?
No.
Shape? Yeah.
Not like he had then. That's why I'm saying, man, if everything works well for him and he's able to keep the ball in the right half of the fairway and he's able to hit a lot of greens in regulation, he could top 4. Yeah. He's not going to top 20, in my opinion. He's certainly not going to sniff the top of the leaderboard. But if you are looking to get some cash on Tiger just because you're a huge Tiger fan and you want to root for him, bet him top 40, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. If you want to do make the cut, miss the cut, that's a better bet than the top 10s and all the outright crap that the books are throwing at you guys.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any other questions, make sure you guys follow us here on Twitter at House2016, at Teaser Nation, and then at Got Bets. Any final words, Teaser, you want to say?
Last guy we didn't mention was Russ Henley. Don't. I got him top 40, but don't be surprised if he's a first round leader. I don't know when he tees off, but he always does that. He might be in the afternoon, which would probably not be a first round leader thing, but I mean, he'll choke or something. Yeah.
He definitely has an afternoon tee time. If he did not have an afternoon tee time, he would be on the first round leader card. Unfortunately, man, a lot of the first round leader horses have afternoon tee time. So that was my last thought here. Only a handful of the first round leader Thursday horses have an advantageous tee time. So I would say the most no-brainer bet of the week is Cam Smith, top 5 first round leader. I think that bet has a much, much higher chance to cash than anything else you're going to see plus 500 or better this week. And yeah, man, we mentioned all 15 guys that I have on my placement and outright card. So that's about it from me too, bro.
Yeah, no, we went in depth. It was a 50-minute stream. We appreciate you guys all tuning in. Hope this helps you guys make educated bets. Hopefully you guys are tailing, understand the research process behind putting picks out on Twitter. And don't feel afraid to reach out to either one of us on Twitter if you guys want to pick our brains a little bit more. Also, if you guys want to join the free Discord as well, it's in my link tree at the top of my Twitter profile. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We will be back next week. We'll see if House can get in there next week. If not, me and Teaser will be here, and we will roll on that. So I appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yes, sir. Let's make some money this week, fellas. Let's go.
Yes, sir.